Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the channel. And we're going to look at this show that aired in 2015 called The Magicians. And this show seemed to support many of the discoveries that we made independently of seeing the series, obviously. Now, I typically don't decode these Harry Potter type franchises, but this one came recommended. And it just basically confirms much of the decoding that we've done to this point. Now, of course, this is the show called The Magicians, and it's all about an interdimensional school that recruits students after it follows these students in their normal dimension, their normal life. It's been following them since they were born, and they're sitting there watching them. And then they see that their gifts began to emerge, and then they are recruited into this other dimension. And this is where we see the portals at work. Now, of course, we don't have a bunch of people running around this earth that actually know real magic. But here's what I believe. I believe that they're preparing us for that kind of world in which this kind of phenomenon will begin to occur in plain sight and regularly. Now, this is biblically based because the Antichrist himself is supposed to be able to have the ability to draw fire down from heaven in the sight of men, is what it says in the book of Revelation. And we know that the enemy will not be allowed to just do this without some kind of counterbalance. So you may see some of God's people fighting these people, and it will look like magic, but it will be, of course, God's people fighting the enemy, just like what happened in the Pharaoh's court with Aaron and Moses as they were battling Janus and Jambres, the twins, with the staff turning into snakes. Now, why do I believe that we're going to be living in a world soon where this will be the case? Well, there's just too much pre-programming. Of course, they're trying to normalize magic. And in the series, the magicians with the best talent are depicted as being the outcasts of society. And what this does is it lures people who feel left out of this life. It lures them into dabbling in this kind of stuff. And, of course, in the series, as you're going to see with this montage that I put together yesterday, the battle for good and evil rages on. But here's the problem with the series, and there's always deception in these kinds of things. There's no mention of God or Christ. So this becomes a fake right-left paradigm. And they try to make you believe that there could be good witches and bad witches. And the good witches have power, but that doesn't come from God in the series. Okay? And there was magic in the Bible, as we just talked about, but you don't really probably want to call it magic. It's more like wielding the miracles of the Most High. Moses had a staff. Some people will try to say that maybe that was where they get the modern archetype, or using a wand or a staff. But of course, we know that that power always came from God. Always. When he took the staff and struck the rock and water came out, when he parted the Red Sea, when he battled Janus and Jambres in the Pharaoh's court. None of God's people did these magic miracles without God's leading and direction. So let's look at this montage, and let's play this first part here. So obviously clocks are portals. Now this one is a slam dunk because it's a lot less obscure, because it's obvious that time is the obvious portal here. But look where she emerged from. She emerged from a tree. Now, we've talked all about the trees that once reached heaven. We did a montage video of previous works that we had done a couple days ago. And I want you to listen and watch this description in the book of Ezekiel about trees that once reached the heaven. Now, many biblical interpreters write this off as metaphor, but we're going to read this, and I want you to tell me what you think this is all about. Maybe this was real. Trees that reach the heavens. Let me check in with you guys. Make sure we're connected. We'll keep going with this. This is crazy. All right. In the 11th year, this is Ezekiel chapter 31. In the 11th year, on the first day of the third month, the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Son of man, say to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and to his multitude, who can be compared to your greatness? Look at Assyria, a cedar in Lebanon, with beautiful branches that shaded the forest. It towered on high. Its top was among the clouds. The waters made it grow. The deep springs made it tall, directing their streams all around its base and sending their channels to all the trees in the field. So it's talking about this great tree. Again, this is Ezekiel chapter 31. Therefore it towered higher than all the trees of the field. Its branches multiplied and its boughs grew long, and it spread them out because of the abundant waters. All the birds of the air nested in its branches, and all the beasts of the field gave birth beneath its boughs. All the great nations lived in its shade. That's a massive tree. It says here it was beautiful in its greatness and the length of its limbs, for its roots extended to abundant waters. The cedars in the garden of God could not rival it. The cypresses cannot compare with its branches. And then it talks about, it says it made it beautiful with many branches, the envy of all the trees of Eden, which were in the garden of God. Therefore it was what the Lord God had said, since it became great in height, and set its top among the clouds, and it grew proud on account of its height. I delivered it into the hand of the ruler of the nations for him to deal with it according to its wickedness. I have banished it. So God banishes this tree. And then it says, foreigners, the most ruthless of the nations, cut it down and left it. Its branches have fallen on the mountains and in every valley. That is a massive tree. Its boughs lay broken in the earth's ravines, and all the people of the earth left its shade and abandoned it. All the birds of the air nested on its fallen trunk. Could this be like the devil's tower? And all the beasts of the field lived among its boughs. This happened so that no other tree by the waters could become great in height and set their top among the clouds. And no other well-watered trees would reach them in height. So there's a snapshot. Now there are other verses in the Bible that talk about massive trees. Look at this verse in the book of Enoch. Enoch 66. They speak about angels laboring at the trees. Now, the common interpretation of this passage in Enoch 66 is that the angels did this to build the ark. But you got to ask yourself, why would Noah need angels to help him cut down trees for the ark? Why would he need multiple angels? Wouldn't like one angel do the trick to build an ark? And what's this seed of life arising after the land was left barren? So here's the key verse here. Let's read through this. The key clue here is that the land was barren after the angels labored at the trees, which suggests that the angels had something to do with the land becoming barren. Let's read. It says, in those days the word of God came to me and said, Noah, behold, your lot has ascended up to me, a lot void of crime, a lot beloved and upright. Now then shall the angels labor at the trees. They probably cut down these trees that reach the heavens. But when they proceed to this, I will put my hand upon it and preserve it. And the seed of life shall arise from it, and a change shall take place, that the dry land shall not be left empty. This is the barren landscape. Now they somewhat depicted this in truth in the Noah film that came out several years ago. There were a lot of lies mixed in with that film as well, so you got to be careful, but they did depict a barren landscape and a miraculous reseeding of the earth. God says, I will establish your seed before me forever and ever, and the seed of those who dwell with you on the surface of the earth. It shall be blessed and multiplied in the presence of the earth, in the name of the Lord. So, laboring at the trees was probably not for the ark, because the text clearly states that the land was cleared of trees. But then God allowed for the seed of life to come back, and the new forest grew again. But this was a different forest, the forest we have now. And what interests me about this passage, because this is a very interesting passage, is that the text seems to draw similarity between Noah and the remnant seed and them being cleared off the land and the trees being cut down or cleared off the land. But then God establishing the new seed to repopulate the earth. So in other words, what you have here is Noah being compared to the trees. So let's keep going with this, because there's more. There you guys are. Good morning.
Okay, we have got to pull you together. This is it, Clinton. It.
I'm so high. You know what? Screw it.
We have got to pull you together. This is it, Clinton.
Now, the series takes place, of course, in New York, and there you saw the One World Freedom Tower and the clock. It's all about time. Now, the main character's name is Quentin, and we'll get into that in a second. But basically, what you're getting is this letter again. Why do they keep showing us this letter? It doesn't appear once. They actually call him by the letter. Watch. Now let's take a look at this two-headed clock. Now, this is crazy because, again, this is something we had discovered by looking at imagery in other places. And this was repeated over and over again. Remember all the work we did on Janus? We had not seen the series yet. But this is Janus. Janus is the god of beginnings and endings. He is the portal god. And they had built a great gate in his honor in Rome. And it was called a portal as well. And they would open and close the gate in times of war and peace. Now, what I want you to notice here is how these horns form the eyes of Molech. They form the owl eyes, which looks like the stars spinning in the night sky. And what that is really is time. We are locked in the time matrix. And the eyes of Molech, the star spin, are basically the mask that hides heaven from us. This is the spinning swords that are separating us from God down here in this sinful realm. And this is what the elite worship, you guys. Now, if you look at the Northern Lights, you can actually see what appear to be spinning swords of the angels. And I always wonder if that is in fact the case. Now, look at the time on the clock. 1:10, which is 55 plus 55. And we just covered this yesterday. Remember Ashley Judd allegedly endured a 55-hour journey after she broke her leg. And what this is the two becoming one symbolism. 55 and 55 is 110. And the two becoming one is the apes becoming humans, males becoming females. So apes becoming humans. We have the monkey kidney cells inside of most of the world's CV19 VCs, right? I don't know if they're in our VCs here in America, but in Russia, China, and India, their VC is made from monkey kidney cells. Okay, that's how they culture it. So it's the two becoming one, and that's what the one Freedom Tower represents. It's the two individual towers smashed into one. 110 stories each was each of the towers. As you can see here, they were smashed together to become one. And this becomes the setting of the series, The Magicians. The two Janus faces.
Come on, Q.
Come on, what if...
No, you have to stop.
Hillary, come on, Q. Hillary, come on, Q. Hillary, come on, Q.
That's Alice Quinn? Yeah, don't bother trying to compare yourself. I heard she comes from a whole family of magicians.
It's Q. Look, I know when we last met.
So there's Quentin and Alice Quinn, and they become counterparts of one another. They begin working together. That is another Janus reference. Quinn and Quentin. And then you just heard they spell the letter out. Now, wrap your brain around this for a second, because this was 2015 when this episode came out. Long before the group came about, who ended up pulling off the greatest psyop in truth or history, right? Where fully half the truth community fell asleep at the wheel. So, what is up with this letter of the alphabet that should not be named? Well, it's Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. And we've done many videos on Quetzalcoatl, but that's what it really represents. And the mind control that happened during that psyop was unprecedented. Let's keep going. So during this part, she enters the school as well. The elevator becomes the portal, and I believe we found out what the elevator represents. Why is the elevator the portal? Well, it's the reeving. And these are called reeving splices, and they're used to repair elevator coils. And they're coiled wires. And notice all the Reeves who time travel in movie history. Christopher Reeve, George Reeve, both of those were Supermen. George Reeve was the original Superman. Christopher Reeve was the second Superman. He starred in a time travel film called Somewhere in Time. And he turned Earth backwards to reverse time to save Lois Lane. We have Keanu Reeves in The Lake House, time travel film. He was also in The Matrix, time travel film, and Bill and Ted's time travel film. We had Kyle Reese in Terminator. You see, Reeve is a play on the word reverse. And that's why reeving coils, here's a natural reeving coil, travel backwards in water when current is poured over them. Watch this. They put this reeving coil, and the water is flowing against the coil, and the coil goes upstream. This is a real video. Seen some people try to discredit this. Here's, again, water pouring across the coil, but yet the coil climbs in reverse. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. So this reeving coil has interdimensional properties. You can try this yourself, actually. If you find a route like this and you put, I might do this and film it here at my house in the backyard, so you guys can see that this isn't fake. And there's something to this. Why are all these people named Reeve? So let's connect the dots here, because if you think about it, these tree trunks also twist. They twist just like this as they grow up out of the ground. These were the portals. Now we have clues to the secrets. Okay, so let's get back to this, because so the school they attend to develop their magic is called Breakbill University. And I don't know what that means. Maybe you guys can help me with that. And their logo is a moth and a key. Let's play this.
Weird. I went into an elevator and then I got out of the elevator.
Oh yeah, thank God, thank God.
Thank God what?
So this is Breakbills University, and the logo is a moth and a key. Now, I know what the key part represents. The key, of course, is Janus. And we had covered this. Again, independent of this series. We had no idea the series existed. But there's Janus, the two-faced god with the key. So this is definitely what they're talking about. Here's the Janus two faces on the top of the clock, and the Janus key. All right. And Janus is always pictured with this key because keys open gates and portals. As far as I can tell, the moth on here represents like evil or death. And there's one part where this the evil part of the series finds a way to get through the mirror, a portal as well. And with him comes moths. So he's surrounded by this cloud of moths. Let's keep going with this. And we're going to see another portal here, which is a library.
Bud, you need help?
Now, what are libraries and why are they depicted as portals? Let's back this up here. Libraries are books, which are basically cut down forests or cut down trees. They're basically, the pulp is manufactured. They are turned into paper. They're bound. Okay, so you're bound. Think of all the symbolism associated with a book. You guys, the books are us. We're the books. Our whole life contained, cut down, stuck in a square, bound into a square, into the cube, into the matrix. A library is a matrix of people, stacked away, cut off from the main tree of life. Now think about that for a second. Have you ever heard anyone unlock that secret before? I don't think so. That's a gift. It's God telling us something. And when I made that discovery, I was like, wow. So the book burning is us burning. That's the deeper meaning of Fahrenheit 451. We are these books. So we're stuck in these cubes or these squares. We're bound into sin. The only way is the narrow gate, through Christ. Okay? The unbound. Unfolding the cube makes the cross. When you unfold a cube, it turns into a cross. That's the way out. Jesus undoes the sin. So the books are us. And all of our life is recorded in these books. So we saw libraries as time portals in other films like Interstellar with Matthew McConaughey. Remember that time travel film? They go through the library. That's how they traveled through time. There were several other movies that depict this way as well. Now understand that these people can't travel in time. Demonic entities can survive time by possessing different bodies and animals throughout time until Jesus comes back, but I don't believe that they can go backwards in time. I don't believe that God would allow that to happen. But they know the secrets of how dimensions work. They know that they want to time travel. They want to go back and undo things. They just can't figure it out because there are laws. They want to be like the Most High, who can travel back in time. The Most High can. He's the beginning of the end, the Alpha and the Omega. That's how he knew how to encode in our very fabric of our physiology. He encoded the entire history of the Bible. The entire history of mankind is written in their flesh because he knew the end from the beginning. So what you're hearing today are supernatural hidden truths about laws outside of our dimension. And this brings us to the final part of this montage, and that is the smiley face. And again, this is symbolism we had uncovered in many other places before we ever saw this in the series. And the smiley face represents evil. Let's watch.
You help?
Now, we saw this smiley face in many, many places. All right. The first place we saw the smiley face was during this eclipse. Because again, remember, eclipses are portals too. And these are the paths of the eclipse that begin the mass sacrifice or mass mind control ritual that we now know to be CV-19. It all started with this smiley face eclipse of December 26th, 2019, when the first cases were announced in China. So why the smiley face? Well, because smiley face eclipses always cry later. What do you mean, Casey? Well, smile now, cry later. They always have an equal and opposite downturned eclipse interval. Smile now, cry later. Same eclipse, but it's an opposite. Janus. Are you guys starting to understand what's going on here? In this case, this pair of eclipses began on December 26th, smile now, and ended on June 21st, which was the summer solstice. This is the cry later. Remember, Janus is the beginning and endings, openings and closings. Smile now, cry later. Now, Janus is often associated with Apollo, the god of the sun and eclipses. And this gives you a clue as to what's really going on here. So this was the first decode of the magicians. I'm only to the second episode. This went on for 3 seasons. This will be an ongoing decode. If you haven't already, please subscribe to Enter the Stars Unstoppable. I'm going to spell it for you because the spelling is different. Thanks everybody for showing up this morning. There's the channel. Now I put a link somewhere, but I don't know if it's been working. There's something really weird going on with YouTube. The same link, but for some reason, the link doesn't work for everybody. And at first I thought a couple people came forward. I'm like, well, maybe you have some kind of, virus on your phone or something. And they're like, no, like a lot of you, the link won't work. And this is how they stop channels from sending people to their backup channels, because they just take you to a different place and you never find the backup channel. And so I don't know what's going on with YouTube, but they need to fix this. This is not right. You can't just stop people from growing out their other channels. So please subscribe to that channel, because we're going to start doing live shows over there soon. Probably 1 or 2 a week. just so we can grow that channel. Because with YouTube, you got to have 2 or 3 irons in the fire. Otherwise, they'll get you, right? So let's look at the chat. Let this catch up. Good morning. Good morning, Applejacks. Arthur. She said. Anna. You might have to just go up into the YouTube search bar and type it in. Then you'll find it. But for some reason, they hosed us on the link. So I don't know what's going on with that. Prayers are our strongest weapons. Absolutely EABC. You guys should be praying constantly, incessantly. Never stop. Oh, Keanu Reeves also played in Constantine's Spear of Destiny. Oh, maybe we should check that out again. Constantine. Let me pull up that tab so I don't forget. Maybe clues in that film. All right. Some of you found it. That's awesome. There's Paul Panda. Thanks, Paul, for modding. Link's not working. See, the link's not working for them. Why is it working for some people, not for others? See, it's crazy, right? It's not in our head. It's not us thinking that they're just after us, because they really are. Hey, Allie. Hey, Vanessa. Lisa. Unmuzzled Unicorn. Kelly. Okay, let's put this in here again. This isn't the link, but if you just put it in like this, then you should be able to just search that on YouTube. I think it'll come right up. All right. Okay. Constantine has many hidden truths. It says unmasked truth. Yeah, isn't that crazy? Trina, try to just copy and paste and right into YouTube when the show's over, of course. Yeah, just try to copy and paste that in the YouTube search, and it's got to come up. Yeah, they're basically sabotaging channels. That way they can easily take... They don't like to go through and have to find all of your associated accounts. Put it one more time. I'll just keep putting it in here. Now, if you're wondering about the spelling, it's because this is the way we used to spell our channel name. And we changed that because it was just too hard for people to find the channel. So now it's simpler. It's just enter the S or STARS. But back then it was 5T4RZ. So that's, but the old channel, this backup channel has the old spelling. So that's what's going on with that. So yeah, just type that into the YouTube search bar and it should come right up under channels. Okay, that's enough. All right, well, what else do we have here? Yeah, I'm spamming my chat, Lisa. Thanks, Kelly. Thanks, Rooster. Rooster says, won't let me open. Yeah, try to just type it in the search bar. All right. Hey, Betty. Hey, Sean. Alicia. Jamila. Okay. Well, thanks for coming out, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the show today, and we got down to some deeper truths about all this stuff. And don't ever play with magic. And don't, if God's going to work through you, you'll know. You'll know, and he'll be like, hey, okay, look at what we do on this channel. All right? I take no credit for anything that's happening on this channel. It all comes from the Most High. From the outside looking in, it seems like a miracle, doesn't it? A different kind of miracle. We're not turning water into wine or anything, or we're not creating water out of a stone or parting Red Seas. But the synchronicity is, you can't deny what happens on this channel. But all the credit and glory goes to the Most High. We simply wake up every day and follow his instructions. And then through that, all of these miracles of revelation happen, right? That's what will probably be more or less what's happening in the last days. All right. And we don't want to ever call that magic, because magic infers that that ability comes from something other than the Most High. But really it's coming from him, because he's the one we give all the credit to. So, this is going to intensify as we get towards the end. And there will be people that work for God that will be battling the enemy's magic. Make no mistake about that. I love each and every one of you. If you haven't already, be saved. Say a small prayer. Get on your knees. Talk to the Most High. Let him into your heart, because the time is short. Have a great day, everyone.